Houses went for about 15 grand back then. Sounds like a fairy tale now, doesn't it? But that price tag came with something money can't buy today. A neighborhood where everyone knew your name. A mailman who'd chat about the weather. Kids playing kickball in the street until the streetlights came on. You weren't just buying walls and a roof. You were buying into something bigger. Pull into any gas station and watch what happened. A guy in a uniform would jog over, fill your tank, check under the hood, scrub your windshield till it sparkled, and hand you a road map. All for 30 cents a gallon. No swiping cards at a pump. No staring at a screen. Just a real person doing real work and maybe cracking a joke about the weather. The Ford Mustang rolled out in '64 and changed everything overnight. Suddenly, every garage wanted one. Every driveway envied one. Every teenager plastered one across their bedroom wall. Chrome gleaming, engine roaring. It wasn't transportation. It was teenage rebellion wrapped in steel and freedom. If your buddy had one, you felt like royalty just sitting in the passenger seat. The average paycheck sat around $7,000 a year. Not much by modern standards, but it worked. One salary kept the lights on, the fridge full, and still left enough for a summer road trip. Nobody lived in mansions, but nobody was drowning either. It was breathing room. A chance to get ahead without working 3 jobs. Summer camp smelled like mosquito spray and pine needles. Bunk beds creaked. Counselors strummed guitars around campfires. You'd scribble postcards home saying everything was fine, even if you cried yourself to sleep the first night. Mystery meat in the cafeteria. Canoes that always tipped. Songs you'd never forget. Somehow those weeks shaped you more than any classroom ever did. The milkman showed up before sunrise. Glass bottles clinked on the porch while you were still dreaming. By breakfast, there they were, fresh cream on top. Sometimes chocolate milk, if you were lucky. No checking dates, no worrying. Just cold milk delivered by a man who knew your family and remembered which days you needed extra. When Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon, the whole country crowded around tiny black and white TVs with fuzzy screens and bent rabbit ears. Static crackled. The picture wobbled, but nobody moved. For one impossible moment, we all sat together in living rooms across America, holding our breath as history unfolded in grainy slow motion. October 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis. It wasn't just headlines. It was fear you could taste. Radio stayed on. Eyes drifted to the sky. Kids practiced duck and cover at school like it would save them. For 13 days, the world teetered on the edge of something terrible. And everyone knew it. Cameras back then didn't mess around. Flash bulbs popped once and burned out. You carried spares like ammunition. Family photos meant blinding everyone in the room 5 times, hoping one shot came out clear. No deleting, no retakes. You got what you got and stuck it in an album. February 1964. The Beatles stepped onto Ed Sullivan's stage and everything shifted. Girls screamed like the world was ending. Parents clutched their pearls. But something fundamental changed that night. Hair got longer. Music got louder. The future arrived through a black and white screen, and 73 million people watched it happen together. Seatbelts? Never heard of her. Kids rolled around the back of station wagons like loose cargo. Blankets, toys, maybe a dog. You bounced over every pothole, fought over the window seat, and somehow survived to tell the tale. Nobody worried. Nobody sued. We just lived. Laundry didn't hide indoors. Clotheslines stretched across every backyard. Sheets snapped in the breeze. Towels dried stiff as cardboard, but smelled like sunshine and fresh air. No electric dryer could replicate that. When you pulled them down warm and crisp, you felt like you'd accomplished something real. I Love Lucy wasn't just a show. She was family. You knew every episode by heart. The chocolate factory. The grape stomping. The the ridiculous schemes. But you laughed anyway, because it wasn't about surprise. It was about comfort, about hearing that familiar theme song and feeling at home. Viewmasters were magic in a plastic shell. Click through 3D pictures of Disneyland, the Grand Canyon, or Bugs Bunny. That red viewer transported you somewhere impossible with every click. You'd go through the whole reel twice just because you could. No batteries needed, just imagination and curiosity. When Walter Cronkite spoke, America listened. That steady voice, that serious face, no yelling, no spin, just facts delivered with authority. He'd look straight into the camera and tell you what happened in the world. And somehow, that was enough. We trusted him because he earned it every single night. Every neighborhood had a barbershop with that red and white pole spinning outside. Inside, checkerboard floors and leather chairs worn smooth. The radio never changed stations. Men talked baseball, politics, and gossip while waiting their turn. No appointments. Just show up, wait, and catch up on everything happening in town. Home movies came on 8mm film. You'd drag out the screen, thread the reel carefully, dim the lights, and watch birthdays and vacations flicker by in jerky silence. Everyone looked strange and wonderful. Moments captured forever in grainy film that made ordinary life feel historic. Pinball machines ruled the arcades, flashing lights, ringing bells. Silver balls racing around while you slapped the flippers. No joysticks, no controllers. Just reflexes and a little English on the tilt. 2 nickels bought you a shot at glory and bragging rights that lasted till somebody beat your score. Ice cube trays were tiny torture devices. Metal levers that required 2 hands and a prayer. Cubes would fly across the kitchen. The dog would bolt. But when they finally popped free, they seemed colder than anything modern refrigerators could produce. Colder and somehow more satisfying. Saddle shoes never quite broke in. White and brown leather that scuffed if you looked at them wrong. You'd spend recess rubbing polish back on, trying to look presentable. Uncomfortable but required. Every kid had a pair, whether they wanted them or not. Typing class sounded like a war zone. Heavy keys, loud clacks, fingers stained with ribbon ink. One mistake meant starting over. Forget to hit return, and the whole page went sideways. But learning to type meant joining the adult world. It meant you were going somewhere. Polaroids were sorcery. Press the button. Hear that mechanical buzz. Then wait and wait and wait while the picture slowly appeared. Someone always shook it like that helped. When the image finally materialized, it felt like proof. Proof you existed. Proof the moment was real. You'd stick it on the fridge or lose it in a drawer forever. Vending machines actually worked back then. Drop in some coins and get something worth eating. Cold soda, fresh gum, maybe even a sandwich if you were brave. Buttons stuck. Snacks got trapped. But when that bag dropped into the slot, you felt like you'd beaten the system. The country buzzed with possibility. Highways stretched to the horizon. Ideas multiplied. Hope felt tangible. It wasn't perfect, but people believed in progress, in tomorrow being better than today. And when you looked around, you actually felt part of something bigger than yourself. The ice cream truck wasn't just business. It was the soundtrack of summer. You'd hear that tinny jingle 5 blocks away and scream for quarters, barefoot across scorching sidewalks. The menu never changed, but the joy never faded. Bomb pops tasted better when you earned them by sprinting. Duck and cover drills happened as routinely as spelling tests. Crawl under your desk. Cover your neck. Pretend a wooden desk would save you from nuclear fire. Nobody questioned it. Just another Tuesday in the Cold War. The scariest part wasn't the drill. It was how normal it felt. Metal lunchboxes were built like tanks. Your favorite cartoon or superhero plastered on the front. A thermos inside that always smelled faintly of milk, no matter what you put in it. The latch always broke. The handle always cracked. But you carried it like armor every single day. Saturday morning cartoons were sacred. Howdy Doody, Captain Kangaroo, Huckleberry Hound, weird puppets. Simple sets, jokes older than your grandparents. But it felt like they were talking directly to you through the screen. That made all the difference in the world. Kids walked to school alone. No apps. No GPS. No helicopter parents. Just a backpack, maybe a jacket, and instructions to come straight home. Most of us didn't. We took the long way. Stopped at the corner store. Made it back by dinner, like nothing happened. The record player commanded respect. That click, the soft hiss. Then music. Real music you had to work for. You learned which 45 skipped and how to fix them with a strategically placed penny. Nobody threw on background noise. You sat down and listened, really listened. Plastic rain bonnets lived in every mom's purse, folded into neat squares. The sky would darken and boom. Out came the bonnet. Not flattering, but functional. And somehow, you never questioned why every woman over 30 had one ready to deploy at a moment's notice. TV antennas required negotiation. One person held the rabbit ears while another shouted directions. Left, no, right, back, stay there. Don't move. You'd jam tinfoil on top and pray the picture stayed stable. When it worked, it felt like you'd won a battle against technology itself. Streetlights were the universal curfew. When they flickered on, you knew. Time to head home, like screech to a halt. Kids vanished into houses. Moms leaned outdoors with one word. No, we didn't argue. We just knew the rules. Television didn't run all night. When the last show ended, a flag waved while the national anthem played. Then static. That meant bedtime. Or reading. Or staring at the test pattern like it held secrets. It didn't, but it still felt oddly important to watch. Candy cost pennies. Actual pennies. Walk into the corner store with a handful of coins and come out with a paper bag full of wax bottles, candy buttons, and a jawbreaker that lasted 3 recesses. Sugar was freedom. Nobody asked about ingredients or nutrition facts. Encyclopedias arrived by mail, volume by volume. You didn't Google anything. You waited 6 to 8 weeks for Volume G. When they finally arrived, they lived on the shelf like royalty. Even if you only ever opened tea to look up tigers. Soda bottles required tools. Mounted bottle openers stuck to garage walls. You'd collect the caps like trophies. Line them up on workbenches. No twist-offs. No easy access. You had to work for the good stuff. And somehow that made it taste better. Banks bribed you with appliances. Open a savings account and walk out with a toaster, or glasses, or a blender. The toasters were honestly better than the interest rates. Weird, but wonderful. A simpler time when banks wanted your business bad enough to throw in kitchen gear. Prime time meant families gathering. Bonanza. Gunsmoke. The Andy Griffith Show. Westerns and sitcoms with laugh tracks that told you when to smile. Everyone watched together, not in silence, but with commentary. He's gonna get it. That guy's no good. Turn it up. The living room breathed as one. Fresh mimeograph paper hit like a drug. Warm, inky, purple writing on white paper. Teachers handed them out, and half the class lifted them to their noses like they were sniffing flowers. Nobody knew why they smelled so good. We just knew we loved it. Brown bag lunches got flattened by textbooks. Bologna and mustard. Chips in waxed paper. An apple. Maybe a cookie if someone remembered. You'd trade snacks under desks like it was Wall Street. A Twinkie for a bag of Fritos. A fair deal in the playground economy. Slideshows announced themselves. Lights dimmed. Projector clicked on. That first clunk of the carousel was unmistakable. Family vacations, blurry birthday parties, relatives you didn't know existed. Someone always narrated too loud. Someone always fell asleep before the end. Elevator operators wore uniforms. Some had gloves. They'd open the gate, turn a little crank, call out floors like conductors on a train. 4th floor. Home goods, linens, toys. It felt classy. Like you were going somewhere important, even if you were just buying socks. Wool blankets lived in every trunk. Scratchy, ugly, never actually used for their intended purpose. But they were always there just in case. For roadside picnics or emergency snowstorms. You never picked it on purpose. It was the last resort towel at Grandma's house, but somehow it was loyal. Sunday clothes itched. Shoes pinched. Collars never laid flat. But Sunday morning meant hard pews, counting ceiling tiles, trying not to giggle during prayers. Sermons lasted forever. But sometimes you got a peppermint from Grandma's purse. Either way, you earned brunch afterward. Stovetop popcorn required effort. Pour kernels into a metal pot. Add oil. Shake like your life depends on it. An arm workout disguised as a snack. The smell filled the house before the first pop. And when it overflowed the bowl, you knew you'd done something right. TV dinners weren't fancy, but felt futuristic. Peel back the foil. Wait forever. Kitchen fills with that unmistakable smell. Salisbury steak. Overcooked peas. Mashed potatoes. A brownie that never cooked right. A little metal tray of modernity served on a TV tray in front of the television. Tinsel was metal. Thin strips of shimmering silver. And you didn't toss it after Christmas. You carefully removed each strand, one by one. Packed it away for next year. Christmas lights glowed behind it, making the whole tree sparkle like something from a postcard. It stuck to everything. Nobody minded. Car radios had buttons that clicked like little safes. Push one in and the rest popped out. You could preset your favorite station and find it with a single press. The sound crackled, music played, and nobody ever called it analog. It just worked. TV tubes glowed orange behind the set. They hummed softly like the machine was breathing. Picture flickered? Give it a smack. Completely dead? Someone went to the hardware store with a tube in a paper bag. Fixing things wasn't optional. It was just what you did. Kennedy's funeral froze the nation. Even kids understood something heavy was happening. Black and white images. That slow drum beat. The riderless horse. One of the first times America truly mourned together. Millions of living rooms connected by grief and silence. Hair curlers weren't salon equipment. You wound them tight before bed. Foam, plastic. Some with pins. Hoping you didn't crush your skull overnight. In the morning, you'd unravel them like presents. Praying the curls lasted until lunch. School milk fought back. Little cartons that tore wrong. Splashed everywhere. Refused to open properly. They came in crates and smelled faintly metallic. No matter how cold they started, they were lukewarm by snack time. But you drank them anyway. Grandma's sewing machine ran on feet. You'd watch her work the pedal like a drummer, feeding fabric through with steady hands. It clicked and whirred and made straight lines better than any modern machine. And somehow it always smelled like dust and lemon polish. Glass Coke bottles came ice cold from chest coolers, heavy and satisfying in your hand. Some diners had cigarette machines in the corner, metal levers, tiny windows. That satisfying clunk when a pack dropped. Nobody asked for ID. Different world. Not better. Just different. Color TV arrived with fanfare. When someone on the block got one, everyone visited. You'd stand there nodding, like you understood hue and contrast. Even cartoons looked dramatic. like watching the future through a fuzzy little portal into tomorrow. Bank drive-thrus felt like science fiction. Pull up, press the speaker, send your deposit flying through a clear tube with a satisfying whoosh. The capsule came back with a receipt and a lollipop, proof that machines were finally on your side. Sunday comics were an event. Spread the paper on the living room floor. 2 full pages of color. Peanuts, Dick Tracy, Little Orphan Annie. Dad read the news, but for kids, the comics were the real headline. The reason you woke up early on Sunday morning. Men tipped their hats. Women wore white gloves downtown. Dressing nice wasn't for special occasions. It was just part of going out. Even to Woolworths for lunch at the counter. Manners mattered. Presentation mattered. You showed respect by looking respectable. Sidewalks were playgrounds. Kids crouched in circles playing marbles. Tossed jacks. Tried mastering pickup sticks without moving the pile. No batteries. No screens. Just the sound of children arguing over rules invented 5 minutes earlier. Some kids swore you could hear secret messages playing records backward. So there we were, spinning vinyl the wrong way, listening for whispers between guitar solos. Probably just static. But at the time, it felt like uncovering buried treasure. Empty lots became baseball diamonds every summer. No coaches. No umpires. Just neighborhood kids and a pile of hats for bases. Somebody always brought a cracked bat and a ball wrapped in tape. You didn't stop until someone's mom yelled it was dinner time. Some department stores had X-ray machines for shoe fitting. Stick your feet in. See the bones of your toes wiggling inside. Felt futuristic and weirdly fun. Nobody really questioned if it was safe. Progress was progress. School buses had no seat belts. Nobody thought twice. You bounced along on green vinyl seats, windows half down, backpacks rattling on the floor. Field trips weren't about liability. They were about paper sack lunches and hoping you didn't sit next to the weird kid. Assemblies meant marching into the auditorium, waving tiny flags, singing patriotic songs. Sometimes a guest speaker. Sometimes a slide projector. Mostly it was a chance to fidget and whisper until the principal gave you that look that meant sit still and be quiet. Gas stations handed out freebies. Toy dinosaurs, state maps, glass tumblers. Kids collected the giveaways. Adults appreciated full service that came with a smile and maybe a prize. It wasn't just about fuel. It was a little moment of fun that made filling up feel special. Fountain pens were messy business. Ink-stained fingers. Blue smudges on shirts. But somehow it felt grown-up. Like signing your name in cursive really meant something. Even if half the time it bled through the paper and ruined the page underneath. Cursive was a rite of passage. Giant-lined paper. Pencils. Practice until your loops looked decent. Teachers circled the ugly ones in red ink. But once you nailed it, you felt fancy. Like your words carried weight. Like your signature mattered. Roll-on deodorant was a glass bottle with a cold metal ball. Clinked every time you used it. Sharp medicinal scent. Not subtle. Not invisible. But it worked. And it didn't stain unless you went overboard. Recess meant trading. Comic books. Baseball cards. The good marbles. You'd make your best offer. Swear you had another copy at home. Shake on it. No contracts, no apps. Just a backpack full of treasures and a playground economy running on trust and handshakes. Fizzies were little tablets you dropped in water to make instant soda. Cherry, grape, root beer. They fizzed like magic and tasted like sugar and childhood. You could pretend to be a scientist, or just enjoy your drink looking like a lava lamp. Tube socks went all the way up, red or blue stripes near the top, scrunched or folded. You wore them with shorts and sneakers. Every kid looked ready for gym class, even when they weren't. Nobody cared. It was just what you wore. Chemistry sets came with real chemicals, glass beakers, tiny burners, stuff that would never pass safety rules today. You could make stink bombs or foam volcanoes. Transistor radios were pocket-sized miracles. Press them to your ear. Squint at the tiny dial. Scroll through crackling AM stations. Beatles, Motown, baseball games. Holding a whole world of sound in your hand. Even if batteries died way too fast. Cereal boxes had mail-in coupons for toys. Cut out the corner. Tape coins to a card. Wait weeks for the prize. Half the time it was junk. But getting something in the mail with your name on it, that was the real reward. Tupperware parties weren't about plastic containers. Pastel bowls that burped when sealed. It was a reason for moms to dress up and gossip. Laughter in the kitchen. Leftovers stored in the same bowl for 10 years. Lid somehow always missing. Tang was orange, sour, and iconic. Not because it tasted great, but because astronauts drank it. That NASA commercial sealed it. Every kid wanted to sip what the guys in space were having, even if mom mixed it too strong and it tasted like battery acid. Laugh-In exploded onto screens. Bright lights. Fast jokes. Costumes. Punchlines that made adults laugh while kids just blinked. You didn't get half of it, but you watched anyway because it felt like grown-up TV. Weird enough to still be fun. Rotary phones weren't built for speed. If your friend's number had too many nines, forget it. You'd be there all afternoon. Finger slipped halfway through? Start over. But that clicky return spin felt more satisfying than any smartphone beep ever will. Bench seats were just benches. No seat belts, no cup holders, wide vinyl slide. Go whipping around corners and wind up piled against your siblings. The only restraint was mom's arm flying out at every stop sign like that would save you. Plastic couch covers trapped summer heat, meant to protect furniture. But your legs stuck, your back sweated. You weren't allowed to remove them, not until company left. And even then, maybe not. Grandma's rules. Yellow pages weighed a ton. Thick as a dictionary. Need a plumber? Flip to pee, lost the dog? Check classifieds. It was a phone book, booster seat, and doorstop. All in one massive tome. Film came in little black canisters. You loaded by hand. Pop the back. Stretch the leader. Wind it just right. Every click of the shutter felt like commitment. No previews. No redos. Just hope and a trip to the developer 3 weeks later. Slide projectors clicked and chunked. Round carousel spinning. Pictures of grandma by the lake. Blurry vacations. Someone's birthday. Half the slides upside down. You sat in the dark with cake, pretending it wasn't boring. Canned spaghetti was a weeknight lifesaver. Warmed in a saucepan. Poured into a chipped bowl. Orange. Mushy. Italian according to the label. You didn't know better. It was dinner. It was cheap. Somehow it still hit the spot. Drive-in theaters were magic on asphalt. Pull in. Hang the metal speaker on your window. Hope it worked. Families in station wagons. Couples in convertibles. All staring at a glowing screen under stars. Spilled popcorn everywhere. Nobody cared. The car was already a mess. Cloth diapers came with instructions. Boil and bleach. No disposables. Just stacks of white cloth folded into perfect squares. Safety pinned into place. The pail in the bathroom wasn't for show. Laundry day smelled like detergent and stubborn love. Metal toy trucks were practically weapons. Solid. Sharp-edged. Always missing a wheel. Survived sandboxes, staircases, being buried in the backyard. You got one for Christmas. It lasted forever. If your brother threw it, it left dents everywhere. Everyone remembered where they were when Kennedy was shot. School, work, home, didn't matter. Radios went quiet. TVC flickered to life. Grown-ups cried. Even kids knew something had cracked in the world. After that day, things didn't feel the same. Green stamps were everywhere. Peel them at the grocery store. Stick them in booklets. Save up for blenders or toasters. The reward catalog was a dreamland. When you finally had enough books to trade in, it felt like winning the lottery. Help-wanted ads came in 2 flavors, male and female. Nobody questioned it. Secretary here, mechanic there. The world felt split down the middle. If you wanted to cross that line, good luck. That's just how it was back then. Soda bottles were money. Return them to the store clinking in a cardboard box. Get nickels back. Turn around and spend it on candy. You could spot a returnable from across the street. It had a certain shimmer of opportunity. Movies started with cartoons. Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, a little joy before the main feature. You laughed, slurped your drink, and the real show started. Popcorn, candy, 2 hours of magic, a full night out. Dad's aftershave was Brute. That green bottle lived on the bathroom shelf. One splash and the whole hallway smelled like cedar and masculinity. Every dad had a brand. Every kid winced trying it. But that sharp, spicy scent still smells like grown-up. Sunday night meant shoe polishing time. Lay out newspaper. Pull off dusty loafers. Open that tin of polish. The smell filled the room. Brush, cloth, shine. You did it because Mom said so. Because clean shoes meant you were ready for the week ahead. You could smoke on airplanes. Flight attendants passed out free cigarettes. Ashtrays built into every armrest. Nobody opened a window. Everyone exhaled like it was fine. Somehow you landed smelling like a fireplace, and nobody complained about it. The Sears catalog was a brick of dreams, toys, clothes, furniture, all in one book thicker than textbooks. You dog-eared pages, circled things in pen, pretended Santa read it too. When the Christmas catalog arrived, that was better than any parade on TV. Ordering from catalogs taught patience. Circle the item, mail the form, wait. Weeks passed, sometimes months. Then one day a brown box arrived with your name on it. That weight made the item feel like gold, like it was worth the wait. New lunch boxes had a smell. Sweet, sharp, chemical. Peel back the lid. Bologna sandwich in wax paper. Maybe a Twinkie if lucky. That first whiff meant school was really back. The smell of vinyl and possibility. Kitchen tables weren't granite. They were formica, usually yellow or mint green. Chrome legs that wobbled just enough to spill milk. You ate there. Did homework there. Fixed toasters there. Scratched and stained, and somehow perfect. If that stirred up some good memories, you might enjoy jumping ahead into the bold, bright, unforgettable days of the 1980s. Click the video on your screen and take the time machine to a decade full of big hair, big music, and even bigger fun. It's waiting for you.